Good morning, everyone. How are you all? Lots of Twitter action I see out there. It's great to see. Fantastic. I'm going to talk today about virtual worlds. You remember some few years ago, right? Second Life, lots of hype. Well, I can just say that I've been involved in this with virtual worlds since then, and even before. So I'm going to take you a little bit about thinking into the future, because think about how far we've come just in 10, 15 years with the internet. Think forward another 10 years. Where will we be then? So I'm just going to show you a little bit about my research as well as what other people are doing here. I'm going to post all of my slides, it's not here, on slideshare.net. I was trying to upload them. It hasn't quite gone through, but check there, slideshare.net. You can download them, use them as you'd like later. So we can move forward. There's a little bit I'm going to talk about, some background. I'm going to talk about some of my experiences, my research, and then where are we going? Where are we going with virtual worlds? I'm a business school professor. I like to try to put things into perspective and try to understand how is value created in society? How do firms create value? How is economic activity organized? Now, if you look through history, this financial crisis that we're hopefully coming out of, many economic historians would have predicted this, because they say that history follows patterns. It has trends in history. And what I have up here is a few trends. You had the steam engine, the end of the 1700s, leading to the first industrial revolution. What happened then? People left the countryside, went into cities, started working in firms, right? And I think that is when we really have made a lot of our basic assumptions about the way work is done today and what work is, what companies are. We see quite a bit of separation between your private life and your work life. Work should be serious and so on. Just think about what are our basic assumptions about work. But here you have the steam engine, end of the 1700s, 30 to 40 years later, the first industrial revolution. Then you had the single electric motor, internal combustion engine. 30, 40 years later, a second industrial revolution, the rise of the multinational organization, multi-divisional organization, such as many of those that we have in Sweden. Now, how old's the internet? You guys all know that, right? How old's the internet? How old's the internet? I love putting people on the spot. Anybody answer? How old is it? Come on. Yeah, 41 years, exactly. 34 years later. People are questioning, are we entering a third industrial revolution? And if so, what is happening with value creation? What is happening in terms of organization of economic activity? So this is really where I'm trying to understand. Are we seeing new patterns of organizing economic activity? So I just like to put things a little bit into perspective. Now that's where, if we think, where are we today? We're very much, if you think about the web and the development, Web 1.0 connecting to the web. Web 2.0, connecting through, right, through Facebook. You join your friends, etc. Where are we going? And this is where I talk about the immersive internet, the 3D internet. And here are just some examples. I mean, OpenSim. How many of you are active in OpenSim? Fascinating advancements there, development. So I'll talk about that a little bit later. Second Life, you all know of, Entropy Universe, Swedish company. MindArk, out of Gothenburg, very active there. But this is a slide that's done by Tony O'Driscoll, a professor at Duke. And he says, think about what is happening with economic models. Are we going towards this decentralized social production? And we'll get into that. I'll take a little bit of that. So just get a little bit of introduction. But just so we're all on the same page, what are virtual worlds? This is on the Stockholm School of Economics Island in Second Life. This is my class. These are students from around the world, and I'm teaching strategy. And then in this class, what they had to do was to go out and interview avopreneurs or entrepreneurs within virtual worlds and learn and apply strategic principles and so on and frameworks. So this is our final day. But what you see, it's an immersive environment, right? You actually go into the internet. And this is where brain research actually sees that you are connecting. You project yourself into your avatar. So when you see your avatar running, your pulse actually increases. So there's a whole area of brain research that's actually expanding here and trying to understand the relationship with our avatar, an extension of our physical body. You have shared space, interactivity with others, tremendous ability for collaboration. I'll show you an example. In some worlds, you have the ability to create content, create goods, a virtual good you can sell. Jeans, you can be a coach, you can name it. You can do all types of things in there. And you can even make money, lots of money. And people are doing that. In fact, they start out as a hobbyist in some of these worlds, And it starts to get so exciting and they start making so much money, it takes over and it becomes their day job. It becomes their work. So just put us all on the same page. Now, I talked about Second Life when I started out. And, you think about a few years ago, everybody rushed in, right? But we don't change our attitudes and behaviors overnight. Think about in the internet, right? At the end of the 90s, same thing. Lots of people rushed in, created all these beautiful websites. Did people start buying there overnight? No. It takes time. We are creatures of human nature. We're creatures of habit. This is the Gartner hype cycle talking about new technologies. A report just came out saying that we're very much pulling out of the trough of disillusionment in terms of virtual worlds. There's a lot of hype. This is visibility on the left-hand side. A lot of hype a few years ago, lots of visibility about virtual worlds. People pulled out, nothing's happening. But those who stayed, they're the ones who are really seeing what you can do with these worlds. And I'm going to show you some examples. But as you notice that we just reached more than 1 billion users. Now, clearly, how active are all these, but a tremendous number of them are extremely active. Now, it takes 30 to 40 years for industrial revolutions after technological innovation comes along. Because what researchers say is it often takes a whole new generation to enter the workforce. They don't question the way things are done. They just use the technology, they use the innovation, and they question very much the traditional ways of organizing things. And so I put this up. You all know what this is, I'm sure. A World of Warcraft guild. Somebody, it's a group of people coming together to fight a monster. They've been in a raid or whatnot. And here you have people from across the world, right? You have, avatars here. In fact, I think this was my son's guild. And what is going on here? This is about emergent leadership. This is about organizing strategy. In fact, many companies are even looking at this now and saying, can we use virtual worlds to teach strategy? Can we use the virtual worlds to help us with our strategy-making processes? And now you're even beginning to see that people are putting it on their CV. I'm a guild leader. But look at the skills that these people have. They are emergent leaderships. Nobody says you are going to be a leader of this guild. You have to prove your leadership. But you're creating and successfully executing strategies under pressure, managing cross-cultural conflict, and clearly very much learning how to trust one another, working together. Now, of these more than 1 billion users, about 500 million are in the age of 10 to 15 years old, playing in these games, but developing these skills and expecting to be able to take them into their work life, and already we're beginning to see that. So here's a quotation from Ted Castronova, kind of one of the big names in virtual worlds. And he wrote this a few years ago, 2006. And he writes, clearly, if social activity migrates to synthetic worlds, virtual worlds, economic activity will go there as well. So if you have these 500 million people playing these games and so on, how will we actually see this moving in economic activity? And we're already seeing that. This is actually Pop Art Lab. It's a fantastic, interesting site out of Denmark where you can go in and dance and meet all types of people. But if you look at the economic activity that's going on now, just a few years ago, there was no sales of virtual goods. Now you're talking about $12 billion of virtual goods. What is a virtual good? It could be a virtual dress. It could be a house. You name it. Everything that's in the physical world, you can buy in the virtual world. American Cancer Society ran a relay, just like you do in the physical world. They did it in Second Life. $222,000 they raised in this virtual world. Just this year, somebody paid $330,000 for a virtual space station. I mean, this is just something that's nothing other, digital. It's out there, but yet somebody saw it as a very good investment. Now, how many of you know that the Swedish government granted a bank license to Mindbank out of Mindark in Gothenburg? When it's the first time that a government has actually gone in and supported one of these virtual banks. Why? People have their deposits with Mindark. Hundreds of thousands of dollars some have there. Clearly, you want to be able to guarantee them. So this is what we're seeing, beginnings of this economic activity within these virtual worlds. So this is a little bit of the background. Where are we going? Because again, this is I'm this business school person trying to understand where are we going? How are virtual worlds affecting the ability to organize economic activity? So I'm going to show you some of my experiences now. This is on the Stockholm School of Economics Island again. I'm a teacher. I work a lot with multinational organizations. Virtual teaming skills. You need to be able to learn how to work in virtual teams, becoming very much of a skill for people to learn these days. So here, I got together with Steve Mahaley of Duke Corporate Education in the world of Second Life. Never met him face to face. And we created a teaming exercise where people could come from all over the world. So I believe this exercise is with people from IBM. We had 25 people come from throughout the world working for IBM and met on our island and conducted a teaming exercise. They had to build a bridge. I'll just show you quickly let's see, it's here. Just show you a little bit. A few seconds of this. I won't put the sound on. But here we are on our island. And so you can see what they're doing is they came from all over the world, and the task was very simple. It was to build a bridge. 30 minutes to build a bridge in a virtual team. People had different pieces of inventory with each avatar. Now, this is a much faster way or better way of learning. If you experience something, you're much more likely to remember that than actually sitting like this, right? Where you have a talking head of a professor. Here you actually can see and build and do and learn in a completely different way. And you can have fun at the same time. In fact, research shows the more you laugh, the more you have fun, the more you remember, the better you learn. So anyway, so this was just, this is on YouTube in case anybody's interested in looking at that. So that was one example. Now, when I saw this, I also found this in the Christian Science Monitor. They have completely gone away from any newspaper. Everything's online. Some people are really questioning about education. So many other industries have been very much affected by the internet, and many people are beginning to question, will this be the last generation to actually attend college physically? And studies show that online education is actually you learn more through online education than actually face-to-face. Education is a very slow-moving field. We'll see how that develops, but I just want to throw that out. Think about that. And you're beginning to see much more of online programs, and what you can do with the 3D internet is quite fascinating. So that was one example. A second one, I'm very interested in terms of how can you promote competitiveness. So how can you ensure that firms and so entrepreneurs can develop products that people want, that they can become more competitive. And did you know that more than 50% of new products and services fail? That's quite often because people don't know what the users want. You know, you have people designing the product and they think they know what the user wants. They think they know how the user will use the product or the service. But if you can involve the people in the development process, many of you may have heard of user innovation, co-creation. Many, in fact, governments are supporting programs now to promote user innovation. Here's a way of bringing in people into the development process. I'm going to show just a brief film from this as well. This is with the Swedish entrepreneur, Heidi Harman. And she was developing a community site. And she said, well, I'd like to launch this all over the world, but I don't know what people like. What are trends in different markets? I'm a small entrepreneur. I don't have the big financial resources of large multinational companies. It's very difficult for me to go out and learn what people want and what the trends are in different markets across the world. But when I develop my product, I want to make sure that I can actually incorporate their needs into it. So we said, well, let's help you out. What can we do about that? So we designed a co-creation workshop in Second Life, where we brought in people from across the world, opened up. Anyone could come to our co-creation workshop as long as they were interested in developing the product. So here we are working together. You can see there's people from Australia, Europe, the Americas, and so on, and you can come as you want. And this is another thing. Who said that work always has to be so serious? We can't play games. We can't dress up as we want to. We can't be a funny-looking avatar. I think this is also, our basic assumptions about work I was talking about. But here you can have fun. And if you're thinking about creativity and innovation, fantastic possibilities to break mental models, go out there and, explore, do something fun. So the idea, you can simulate. So here we're simulating running. It was a running community site, putting people into the mind frame of runners. Then we had different platforms where you could actually have discussions and so on. I've written a paper out about this, so if anybody's interested, please let me know. But here again, we're coming from all over the world. So that's another example of how how virtual worlds can be used to actually involve people in the development process. And here I question, what will happen as this becomes more prevalent across the world in terms of small, medium-sized enterprises? Will they be able to really challenge, say, the large multinational corporations? And I think they will be. There's tremendous possibilities here. Also, I'm seeing emergent organizing, new firms developing in these virtual worlds. So here, 4 people who met in a bar in Second Life found out that they had a common interest in making the world a better place. So they organized a 3-day peace festival, a music festival, and this is an ongoing event now. Then the first one, which was this, they arranged 10,000 people from across the world came to their peace festival. So you have the ability to reach out and find those people across the world very easily who have similar interests. So here, this was just Peace Train, so if anybody's interested, I have something written on that. And I think this is where, will there be possibilities for even more entrepreneurs? And this gets back to my first slide, organizing economic activity. How will we see differences? Is this a third industrial revolution? And what will new, say, forms of organizing activity look like? I call them avapreneurs, or an avatar plus an entrepreneur, someone who is an entrepreneur within a virtual world through their avatar. But you have access to global markets, this whole aspect of micropayments, PayPal, etc., virtual currencies. Becomes very easy to make money. You can sell things, for 20 cents or, 5 euro. Well, I guess you can't, 50 euro. But I mean, if you do have enough customers across the world, you can make an awful lot of money. Micro-employees, you have the access to labor anywhere in the world. I was in one of these stores and somebody was selling me jeans, a pair of virtual jeans, and I asked her, who are you? What do you do? She says, I'm a housewife in New Jersey. And when my kids are at school, I want to earn money, but I also want to have some social life. So I'm a salesperson in this virtual store. So here again, you have access to labor across the world. This person here has a group of 700 photographers working for him in Second Life. Quite a large organization, I'd say. So these are some of my experiences. So this is where I'm very active. In fact, I'm leading a large project, an international project, looking at entrepreneurship and innovation through virtual worlds. I have some information on that later if anybody's interested. But where are we going? And this is where I think there's been tremendous activity just within the past recent months, because Second Life decided that it would raise the educational prices, no more educational discounts. A lot of universities are leaving, but they're moving to OpenSim. What is OpenSim? OpenSim is open source virtual worlds. They want to be the Apache of virtual worlds. So here people, it's amazing the amount of activity. You think about what open source has produced. OpenSim is people active who want to produce and develop virtual worlds. So here, this is a group of people. Unfortunately, this is a little bit of an old picture, but there's different organizations involved. This is going to be released tomorrow. Create once, experience everywhere. We're talking about transportability. You can develop something and you can put it on any different virtual world. You have seamlessness, so you can actually go, take your avatar and your inventory and your money from one world to another. No longer, say, necessarily locked within one. You have virtual worlds on a stick. I can just carry it around in my stick, plug it into any computer. No longer do you have to be online. So when you want to, say, build content, create things, and so on. Browser-based VWs as well coming out. Blue Mars is supposedly launching that shortly if they haven't already done that. But the number of new worlds is growing rapidly. So I think this is where we're seeing a lot of activity. John Lester, who's also known as Pathfinder, was Pathfinder Linder, John Pathfinder Lester, he said a year ago he was in looking at OpenSim and said, this isn't really anything. He just went back recently and said, there is so much happening just in 1 year. So think about, the very increasing pace of technological change. But I think also people are very much trying to understand what are the affordances of virtual worlds. In other words, what are the benefits? The benefits of 3D internet over 2D internet, the benefits of 3D internet over the physical world, and seeing quite a lot. You can do things very easily in these worlds. I mean, you have this immersion, the sense of being there. As I mentioned, you actually project yourself into these worlds, so you can be immersed in an environment, collaborating, working together. You have also simulation and all different types of things. Tsunamis are being simulated. You can go into a hospital or a building and experience schizophrenia. You can actually simulate things you can't necessarily do in the physical world. You also have avatar design. How do you design your avatars? Research has found that if I give you guys over here tall avatars and you guys over there short avatars, and you go in and do a negotiating exercise, who's going to come out stronger in the negotiations? This side with the taller avatars. You project yourself into the avatar based upon what you think people expect of you. And this is where we really don't understand that much yet. So all types of possibilities. You have all different types of communication modes going on at the same time. Voice, chat, you can bring in from the internet and so on, video and all kinds of different ways of communicating simultaneously. Co-creation. It's very difficult to build something together. Yes, open source, they're doing that in the 2D internet, but here you can actually build. Think of being an architect. You can go in with people from across the world and design buildings together. And archiving, very easy to save things, to go back and review. So the ability to actually reflect and so on, very much increased as well. So here are just some affordances that people are really trying to understand. And if you map these on to, say, knowledge creation, the theoretical framework for knowledge creation, very much seeing that you can enhance knowledge creation. So this is a lot of possibilities for innovation and creativity. And so my question then is, which professions will not be revolutionized? Already seeing quite a lot of differences in the architecture industry, in the fashion industry, and in the healthcare industry. People are using virtual worlds to facilitate, say, medicine, health, and so on. So, for example, if you're a kind of a very large person, not very well-trained person, you get a small avatar, you project yourself into that, skinny, well-trained avatar, and you start changing your actual behavior. It's also fantastic possibilities for people who are handicapped, and they're even developing worlds for people who are blind. So tremendous possibilities for bringing a whole group of people into the workforce, able to work anywhere in the world. And again, I started off in the very beginning of this presentation talking about what does this mean in terms of organizing economic activity. Other trends in history, what have we seen? What has impacted competitiveness of local firms? First, you had the mobility of goods, right? So cheap goods, say, coming in from cheap labor countries such as China and so on, very much impacting local firms, no longer able to compete as well. So very much this mobility of goods. Then we've moved into an era of, say, mobility of financial capital. Think about microfinance and so on, and large sums of money being transported from one part of the world to the other in terms of competitiveness of nations. And then I ask, are we beginning to see the mobility of labor? If so much work is actually knowledge intensive, it doesn't matter where you sit. It matters really where you're working. And in this sense, you can actually, project yourself into virtual worlds and work together with others regardless of where they are in the world. So again, you have access to labor from across the world, and the question is, how will that affect competitiveness of firms and so on? This was just one picture of Intel for a few years ago, but I know people, that's where they work. They go to their virtual office every day. They sit at home, say 4 out of 5 days a week, and work in their virtual office with colleagues, with partners, with suppliers, and so on. So it's things to think about. Where are we going? What will this entail? So if you're interested in learning more, this is the project I'm running. It's called Nordic Virtual Worlds Network, the Nordic VW Network, nordicworlds.net. There's our hashtag. International project with organizations from across the Nordic, all the Nordic countries, and then we have a person in California in Silicon Valley, financed by the Nordic Innovation Center. So if anybody's interested, the whole focus is on entrepreneurship and innovation through virtual worlds. And there's a picture of me and my avatar in Second Life, Corinda. I just like to, put that up there. We ain't seen nothing yet, because I really think it's so important to think, where are we going? Yes, today there's so much emphasis on Web 2.0, but if you look below the surface and see what's actually going on in terms of 3.0, you'd be very surprised, and I think it's fantastic possibilities. So if anybody's interested, get in touch with me. Again, my slides are there, so that's what I had to say. Thank you.
We had a speaker yesterday who said, get the hell out of virtual worlds. And now you say, get the hell into it. The audience is puzzled and confused right now, but I like the idea of virtual micro employees. So I see there's a big opportunity for my organization. Do we have any questions?
Oh, come on. There's probably some questions on the Twitter feed. Not one question. Somebody, there's one. Okay, or two. Great, thanks. So hope I could answer.
Hello, my name is Simon Winter.
Hi.
Jag kan kanske prata svenska.
Ja, det går bra det.
Ja. Det känns ofta som att nästa steg av virtuella världar kommer att vara den här världen. För att informationsinfrastrukturen är så rik i vår värld så att det räcker med den här. Men att vi kommer att stoppa in lite som du pratar om virtual micro-employees och så. Vad tror du om det? Alltså jag ser ingen möjlighet att väcka Second Life till liv igen. Men däremot att ha ett First Life där det kommer till en massa simulerad aktivitet.
Nej, det är en bra fråga. Alltså, sånt som jag ser på detta här, det är en komplimang till det vi redan har. Och det jag tänker på, hur många timmar per dag sitter vi och glor på en skärm som är tvådimensionell? Hur mycket mer spännande och intressant det skulle vara om du kunde jobba i en tredimensionell värld. Tänk hur många timmar vi jobbar varje dag med det. Så det är bara en sak som är, men jag tror det som är intressant är att se på alltså vilken möjligheter det finns. Kanske man inte använder det för allt, men man kan använda det för vissa delar av sitt liv. Så det är ju också en hänsyn till en balans. Så jag använder det inte varje dag, men en god del i veckan.
Jag har en fråga. Du pratar om att använda olika virtuella forum för tjänsteutveckling eller produktutveckling. Det var en exempel med människor från Australien som hjälper dig med att men hur vet vi, måste man vill gärna säga, låt oss säga vi försöker få fram en produkt och sen vill vi göra det för äldre människor och så har jag 30 avatars där som alla säger att de är 80. Men egentligen är hälften en hund och den andra är under 20. Så hur vet man det?
Nej, men det är också en bra fråga. Hur vet man vem som är bakom avataren? Och det är inte nödvändigtvis alltid så lätt att veta. Så det beror på vilka frågor man ställer. Men jag kan säga i vilket som helst sammanhang på internet, hur vet du hur gamla folk är? Så det är ju, man får hoppas att man... Men jag tycker att samtidigt behöver man veta och behöver man inte veta. För kan hända ju fler ögon du har in som tittar på någonting, ju bättre det blir. Och kanske en som 30-åring eller en 80-åring har bättre, alltså andra lösningar än de som är... Alltså jag tror det som är bra också är att du har en heterogenitet, alltså diversity av idéer som kommer in. Varifrån kommer nya idéer? Det är när folk med olika bakgrunder träffas och pratar med varandra. Så det kan hända det leder till ännu bättre resultat, skulle jag säga.
Okay. Robin, jag vill jättegärna tacka dig.
Tack själv. Tack.
Så går vi vidare med Claes. Tack.